Now we have access to a lot of new decks in this set. However, among them I think the strongest and most consistent is likely to be the Monarch Sanctuary Alfred deck. And honestly, it's probably one of the most fun to play. Its ability to recycle units and call things pretty cheaply is just phenomenal. It has lots of hand advantage, powerful units to put on the field, good support in general. It's a great deck that I've been having a pretty good amount of success with. So today we're going to be taking a look at exactly how I build this deck. And of course, if you have different builds or you think that there are things that I could be doing better with this build, let me know in the comments section below. But if you enjoyed this video and do want to see more like it, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. Anyway, starting off the list, of course, we have Grimy as our starter, along with 4 heal triggers, 6 draw, and I run 6 crit. You're running the draw because there's a lot of good combo pieces in this deck, and running into any of them is just a huge buff for you. Onto the grade 1s, we have 8 cards which are basically staple and super important, and 4 which you can change depending on what you'd like. Now, probably the best grade 1 in the set is Knight of Friendship K. When placed on rearguard from your hand, you can counterblast 1, search your deck for 1 Knight of Loyalty Bedivere, and call it to rearguard. Then you shuffle your deck. And then if this unit is boosting a Bedivere, it gets plus 3000 power, which is pretty good. This unit allows you to deck thin, it allows you to make great rows, it does a lot of things really effectively, so running 4 of it is pretty much a necessity. Then we have 4 copies of Knight Squire Allen. On rearguard, when placed, you can counterblast 1, call a card with grade less or equal to your Vanguard from your hand, and then you draw a card. This unit then gets plus 3000 power. Again, it works sort of in the same way as K. You're calling a card from your hand to draw a card, just sort of cycling through your deck so you're not losing any advantage by filling up your field. Now the final grade 1 that I run is 4 copies of Wingull, which, if it's boosting a Blaster Blade, you give Blaster Blade 5000 extra power. That being said, I have seen a lot of people run Little Sage Marin instead. I just think that the extra buff that you get from Wingull is pretty massive, and especially since we run Exculpate, after that turn you want to be able to get that Blaster Blade to hit really good numbers, and this is just a good way to do that. Speaking of which, of course we're running 4 copies of Blaster Blade. This is one of the most important cards in the deck. On Vanguard, if you have 4 or more rearguards, this unit gets a critical, which is pretty great. And then on Vanguard or rearguard, when placed, you can counterblast and soul blast 1, choose one of your opponent's front row rearguards, and retire it. So simple removal, pretty limited though because it can only hit the front row, but not bad in general. Now of course we're also going to be running 4 Knight of Loyalty Bedivere. You can call a Knight of Friendship K from your hand and then draw a card. So basically the perfect combo is you play Bedivere, use his ability to call K and draw a card. You then played K from hand technically, so you can counterblast 1 to call another Bedivere from your deck to the field. So basically that means you've counterblasted 1 to call a card from your deck and draw a card, which puts you up 2. So it's really powerful, it's super effective for pushing advantage, and it's just something that you should definitely be playing. Finally, I run 4 copies of Knight of Silence Galatine as a 10k intercepting grade 2. This deck gets pretty impossible to deal with the longer that the game goes. You're always going to be hitting good numbers regardless because you're running a Force Clan, and I think that the extra value that the guard offers in this card is just massively important. However, I have seen people run Sage of Literary and Martial Arts Jaren instead as a 15k attacker, but I just think that the utility in Galatine is just a little bit more valuable in this deck specifically. When I play this, I'm playing for the long game, so being able to get there with the extra guard is just massively important. On to the grade 3s, I run 4 copies of King of Knights Alfred. On Vanguard, it has the activated skill, you can counterblast 1 once per turn, search your deck for a copy of Blaster Blade and call it to rearguard. That unit then gets plus 5000 power until the end of the turn, and you can shuffle your deck. On top of that, on Vanguard, during your turn, if you have a Blaster Blade on the field, this card gets plus 10,000 power. So it swings for a big number on its own, it calls another card which swings for a big number. It's a great first grade 3 ride. However, you want to be following him up with Monarch Sanctuary Alfred. We're going to be running 3 copies of him, and he has the continuous Vanguard ability that all of your Blaster Blades on rearguard and guard circle get plus 10,000 power and plus 5,000 guard on both players' turn, which is insanely good. This means that your opponent has to swing over 20k to get rid of your Blaster Blade rearguards, and if you need to use them defensively, you can by intercepting for 10k. And of course, guarding with these cards isn't really a big problem, because Monarch Sanctuary Alfred also has the ability that when placed, you can counterblast 1 and soul blast 1 to return a Blaster Blade from your drop zone to your hand. And then until the end of the turn, if you have an Alfred in soul, your Vanguard gets plus 15k and a crit. This is crazy powerful. This means that you're both not running out of resources and your Vanguard's getting a big number and a crit. Between the two of these cards, you're calling cards from your deck and your drop zone, meaning you can constantly recycle them pretty effectively. But one of the great synergies that Monarch Sanctuary Alfred has is that it works incredibly well with Exculpate the Blaster. This is your grade 4 unit and you're going to be running 2 copies of him. And on Vanguard, he has the ability that when placed, you have to counterblast 1, then choose a card from your soul and put all of your other cards from your soul into your drop zone. Then when this unit attacks during your turn, it battles all of your opponent's units in one attack. Basically, it's a board wipe, it swings for a big number, it's a good card. Its other ability is that at the end of the battle that it attacked, put 2 cards from your hand into your soul, you retire this unit and ride a Blaster Blade from your soul as stand. If you can't ride, then you lose the game. So simple flow of motion, let's say you ride King of Knights, then you ride Monarch Sanctuary, then you ride Exculpate the Blaster. That is 3 force markers that you've put on the field, which is pretty solid already, and why not, you've stacked them all on Vanguard. You attack with Exculpate for 44 on its own to everything on your opponent's field, then you ride a Blaster Blade from your soul. You probably have a full field because that's how this deck works. He gets a crit, and he's standing at 40k again. Then you have the booster in Wingle, causing Blaster Blade to swing for 53 and a crit. So that's pretty great. You've nuked your opponent's board, you've put a ton of pressure on them, and you still got 2 more attacks on your field. This deck works insanely well, it just has so much synergy and it feels really great to play. It's probably my favorite deck of the expansion, honestly, and I generally don't like to play Royal Paladin, so that says a lot. But yeah, what do you guys think of the deck? Are you going to be testing it out? And how would you make it any better? Let me know in the comments section below. And remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. As always, a big thank you to Decimus Akuiaza and Digital Drew 92, as they are supporting this channel on Patreon. If you'd like to help them out with that, you can definitely check out the link in the description down below. For now though, I do want to thank you guys so much for checking out these videos. I'll come back tomorrow with the rest of the deck profiles for this set. And with all that being said, this has been Miracle Trigger, and I will see you in the next one.